We're going to give it just a minute or two for the stragglers to come in. We've got 8 people watching, so that's 8 of our 9 of our 16. 7 of our 16, so that's going in the right direction. 5. Alright, good morning, everybody. Thank y'all for joining me. If you've gotten to this spot, you've done everything right so far. If you are having issues with anything, feel free to contact me. I saw that Ryan was having some issues earlier, but he didn't contact me about them, except by posting in the Discord, and I wasn't getting notifications about the Discord whenever he posted them, so I was a little bit behind the ball on that. Alright, so all that said, let's get started. We've got quite a few questions to get through. I combined some lessons together to get us down to, I think I have 5 quizzes on the schedule, which took some combining quizzes together because there's 8 lessons to get through. Yeah, so let's see what we've got. So protons and neurons, that should be neutrons. That's a typo. Protons and neutrons are made up of smaller particles called quarks. Quarks, I believe, are a theoretical particle. We haven't observed them. If you open up your DC theory textbook, you'll see that this is on page 39. Alright. Particles of an atom that carry no charge are called neutrons. Neutral neutrons. That's the connection that you should be making there. An electrical conductor is generally made from a material that has blank electrons. So a conductor has 1 or 2 electrons in its outer shell out of a maximum of 8. An insulator has 7 or 8 electrons in its outer shell, and a semiconductor has 4 electrons in its outer shell. I'm gonna work on looking in the camera a little bit better. I've watched some of my old videos, and I'm looking like to the left of the camera the whole time. So I'm gonna work on doing better on that. All right. A blank is the smallest particle to which an element can be reduced while maintaining its basic properties. So, this is an atom. You can't make an element any smaller than an atom and it still be that element. The simplest form of any matter is called a what? Element. So, all matter can be taken down to an element, and those elements can be broken down into atoms. And that's as far as it can be broken down, and it still be the same thing. You can take it down to the electrons, neutrons, protons, but that's not the element anymore. Those are the building blocks of the atoms. Which of the following, like I just said, you've got your electrons, neutrons, and protons. You do not have quarks as one of the 3 main parts of an atom. Smaller subparticles of the proton and neutron are called quarks. Yeah, we've covered that a couple times. All right. Particles that have a negative charge and rotate around the nucleus of an atom are called electrons. You might have heard of the electron cloud in high school. That is where they hang out. Electrons are what we are mainly concerned with electrical work. The movement of electrons is electricity. How many electrons are present in a copper atom? You're sitting at a computer, you could just Google this. If you were looking in your book, there's a picture, figure 2-3, that says that. It took me a minute to find that whenever I was looking all these up, but that's where it is. A copper atom has one valence electron. That's what makes it a good conductor. Covered it. Battery is made up of one or more cells. So this is talking about the construction of the battery. I believe we have just entered into lesson 2 at this point. So a battery is made up of blank cells. So it's one or more. It's got to have at least one cell, and it can be made up of more cells. If you've ever seen the potato battery science experiment, that is a single cell battery, and you can link the potatoes together in a way that increases the voltage, and it would make a multiple cell battery. Here's my other typo. Piezoelectric is the name given to the process of generating electricity through the use of pressure. One of the key forms of this is, I believe, electric guitars. Pickups use piezoelectric currents to detect the strings and actually process that into what you hear out of the electric guitar. What else? There's all sorts of pressure sensors that use piezoelectric devices as well. Oh, it's early. Which of the following is another name for the solution used in lead-acid batteries? That will be the electrolyte. The electrolyte is the solution inside of a battery that we use to strip the electrons off of one metal and send it to a different metal. So this one's talking about all the different ways you can force electrons out of their valence ring to make an electrical current. The only one of these that doesn't do it is cold air. There's no method of producing electricity using cold air. So this one is just, they used the wrong word right here. So static electricity is a type of electricity or electrical charge that can be created by rubbing one type of material against a different type of material. That would be static electricity. And that's using friction to create electricity. Chemical electricity is batteries. That's fairly straightforward. We use batteries in almost everything. What determines individual cell voltage for a battery? It says that is the metals used for each plate. The basic construction of a battery is two different metals with an electrolyte between them. Uh, the I mean that's the most basic creation of a battery. You can do much more advanced things, but they all boil down to it's two different metals with an electrolyte between them. Uh, yeah. Heat is generated anytime current flows through a wire. Sorry, my foot itches. Okay. Uh, yeah, heat. So whenever current flows through the wire, the resistance to that current flow produces heat. Thermoelectricity is actually the opposite. It's electricity generated by heat. Uh, I got really fascinated by this at one point and did a lot of research. So, a thermocouple is where you take two different metals and kind of solder them together at one end, and that's called the hot point, the hot junction, and you heat that spot, and then you read the voltage at the other end. And the uh, the main purpose of this is to get if you know what types of metal you used, you know how you can figure out how much electricity will be produced at certain temperatures. And you can use that to read temperature with a voltmeter of some sort. Uh, that is how the temperature sensor in your water heater generally works. There's various other cases where a thermocouple is used. All over in the industrial scene is thermocouples. But where it really gets neat is when you get into thermopiles or Peltier plates. That is, you can use a Peltier plate to produce electricity, and it's a bunch of thermocouples turned into a little plate where you have a hot side and a cold side, and you heat up the hot side, and voltage, like an actual usable voltage, will come out the wires. I've seen where people will put like a computer cooling fan on the cold side and power it with the thermopile that's connected to it, and then the candle. You can't see my hands. And then the candle heats up the hot side, creates the electricity, starts the fan going, which cools down the cold side more, which creates more electricity, and until it gets to that equilibrium, it keeps getting more and more voltage, which makes the fan spin faster. So the chemical process in electroplating is electrolysis. Uh, that was a really hard one to find. It's on page 49 and 50 in the last paragraph of the battery categories section. I almost was like, well, this isn't even in the book. But it is. It's probably easier for you to Google this information up while you're going through this. But, yeah. Alright, so that finishes going over the quiz. If you haven't been able to tell, this is how it's going to go basically all day. I'm going to put up a quiz. You guys do the quiz. Put up the quiz. You guys do the quiz. Then every 2 hours, I'm going to start a live stream. And the live stream is going to go basically like this. If I have a longer quiz, it might take a little bit longer. I try to keep it to about 15 minutes. Shorter quizzes don't take as long, obviously. Uh, but yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to comment them in the YouTube video, or message me on Discord or on my phone even. Like, there's 7 or 8 different ways to contact me. Feel free to do any of them. And, yeah, I'm going to put up the new quiz. Oh, I will start another room on Socrative for this quiz to go back up in case somebody wants to go back and take this quiz. I'll probably name it something like DC Review. I will post the name of the quiz, the room, in Discord. So check Discord for that room name. Oh, I didn't end the stream.